श्वेता?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, पहले श्वेता है, बाकी जब म्यूट कर लीजिए अपने आप को, ठीक है? ठीक है, श्वेता, tell me something about yourself.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Myself, Shweta Jain. I am a recently qualified chartered accountant. I am also a CS. I belong to a very beautiful place, Ranchi, in Jharkhand. I did my graduation from St. Xavier's College, Ranchi. Talking about my articleship experience, I did my articleship from a mid-sized firm, NKD & Company. In my articleship, I majorly worked in internal audit and little bit in statutory audit and bank audit and concurrent audit. In internal audit, I did audit of Tanishq showroom, Taurian World School, Ranchi Club, and other companies. We used to do P2P, O2C, internal control testing, walkthroughs. This is all about myself, sir. And do let me know if you want to know anything else from me.
Tell us about your client experiences. What were your major observations during the audit, internal audit?
So I would like to mention a client experience. It's like in Tanishq, when we used to do the physical counting, there used to be a tag in the observation which I found it in the audit was in physical counting, there used to be a tag in the inventory in which the weights were specified. But when we did the counting, the weight of the item were not matching. So the tags got mixed up. So we pointed out that in as Tanishq was a jewelry showroom, so a little bit of the gram change also cost a lot to a customer. So we pointed out this to the management that in inventory counting they need to take care of the tax, because in that tax the billing is to be done. And also in one of my client, we pointed out the logistic things, like in delivery they used to do the delivery separately for each customer. So we pointed out that if there are 2-3 deliveries in our same line, they can club the delivery and they can do the delivery at the same time, other than doing it individually, because it had saved a lot of cost to the company. And also in recruitment process, one of my observation was like in the recruitment process of a government company, the recruitment is to be done with the approval of board, but in that company the approval of board was not there, only the approval of directors was there. So we pointed out this to the management. So your voice is not
P2P risk.
Yes, sir.
P2P risk.
P2P. Yeah, we're talking about procurement to pay risk. The risk can be PO split is one of the risks, as if a certain amount has been specified and if that amount is crossing, the individual has to take authorization from the higher authority. So in order to not take that approval, the person breaks the bills lower to that amount. So PO is one of the risks. And another risk can be a liquidated damage, like if the order has not been fulfilled, then liquidated damage is not booked in the account. So as an auditor, we need to check whether the order has been fulfilled.
बाकी जब नोट्स बनाइए, जब आए तो कुछ करके जाइए, 4 भी आप ऐसे करके बैठे हैं, दिव्या नोट्स बनाइए जो भी है, ठीक है?
So liquidated damage is another risk, and third risk in P2P can be whether the purchase requisition has been like approved by the head of that particular department, and if it has been approved, purchase requisition. And other
आप लोग भी रिव्यू करिए कैसे बोल रही है.
So that's what I'm not able to recollect other things right now.
Okay, what are the solution to P2P?
So in like I mentioned about the PO split up, in that the solution we can provide is we can lower the amount of the approval. So in case, if the approval earlier the approval was 1 lakh, we can lower down the approval to 75,000 or 50,000. And also, if that crosses, quarterly checks can be implemented at the higher authority whether the approval is being made or not. And for liquidated damages, we can check the PO orders, what are the terms and conditions, and we can check whether the order has been made or not. We can do a quarterly check on that, and if order has not been made, whether the penalty and other damages has been claimed from the vendor or not. And for PO purchase acquisition, we can check whether the authorization has been provided by the vertical head, and whether there is a maker checker concept or not.
Hello.
Harshit? Okay, what is the order to pay deficiency?
Order to pay deficiency can be inaccurate or unauthorized credit limit has been given to the customers, or unauthorized sale has been accepted. And that in few instances I have noticed that in delivery, as the process are mainly manual, the delivery gets disrupted, as few of the deliveries has been made to some other customers rather than the required customer. This is one of the deficiency. And other can be like delayed payment from the debtors, and whether if in the conditions interest is to be charged, whether the interest has been received from that customer or not. What are the credit terms and all?
What is the solution to order to pay deficiencies?
Solution can be the authorization process, whether if the person is receiving the order and he is not the person who is raising the invoice for the same, there should be the segregation of duties for the same. And there should be a timeline, there should be a limit fixed for the credit approval. If if 50,000 credit has been approved by a person, then other if the limit is exceeding, that it has to be approved by the other higher authority. Then whether the goods which has been invoiced and the goods which has been dispatched should be checked, whether the goods which has been dispatched is invoiced as per the rates and agreement mentioned in the purchase order or sales order which we have agreed.
Any other solution?
So I'm unable to
anybody else wants to add on to the point which he has mentioned in order to catch solution? Whatever points he has said.
Sir, this point, sales and inventory register, we can match to see that sales has happened and check if money is received, and if not, have been created or not.
You understood, na, Shweta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Logistic department can be improved. There has to be proper communication between sales and the logistic department so that the goods are delivered at the correct time, place, without any delay. That can be done. Okay. P2P, so many points you would have said in solution. P2P.
Yes, sir, I was unable to reconnect it.
Payment without three-way match. Payment without three-way match. Those things can be said. PR not approved by the vertical head. Payment without three-way match.
In P2P.
A lot of points can be said, right? A lot of points can be said out there. Okay. Attached to our hire to retire risks and solutions.
So in hire to retire, one of the most frequent risk is about the ghost employees. Like in my articleship experience also, I have noticed like in casual workers, a number of
suggest you one thing, okay? The communication skill is very good. The only problem that you are facing is that your memory skill is not that great. memory skill. So that you should be improving yourself. How can you improve your memory? Once you write some answer, you practice in front of mirror 3 to 4 times so that you don't forget the answer. The communication skill is very good. Okay. Full marks on that. The only problem that you're facing is that the structure of the answer can be improved. You're forgetting the points.
Okay.
That can be improved. Otherwise, you're good to go. Everything. Okay.
I'll jot down the answers like, and then I'll read
Practice
it
in
once.
front of mirrors. You are forgetting things. That is the only problem they are facing, and you're seeing here and there. That is looking little awkward. So don't look here and there when you say this. Okay. Hire to retire risks and solutions.
Solutions can be, we can see the time. Talking
And the
about
best way
one
to
of
improve your community, I think I'm telling you the best way to actually remember the answer is to teach others. To help the other guys who are, that is the best way to remember things, I'm telling you. So that will also help
Yes,
the other good as well. Okay, yeah. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so one of the risk is ghost employees. Like many a times, employees which who have retired, or the casual workers who are not working, the payment is being made to them. And another is like when new joinees enters, there no training and induction is being done, but the expenses are booked in the accounts. And third can be the statutory payments of PF, PSI is not being complied on time, and the bifurcation is not being made. And the checkpoints to this, for the ghost employees, we can check the timesheet, we can check the updated list of employees, whether that has been updated, whether new joinees has been entered, and the people who have resigned has been deleted or not. And for the induction training, we can see the bills, and we can also cross check it through the employees who have joined, whether the induction and training has been provided to them or not.
ICFR testing and the difference between IFC testing and IFCR testing.
Yeah, so IFC testing is applicable to all the companies except 1% company, small company, and private company having turnover of less than 50 crores and outstanding loan of less than 25 crores. IFC is a broader term which include internal financial control reporting. Internal financial control reporting basically deals with the policies and the risk procedure of the financial statement, whether there is any material misstatement or the financial statements are reliable or not as per the gap, and whether they are accurate or not. But IFC is a broader terms which include the fraud determination, operational controls, including IFCR and safeguard of assets. So it is a broader term.
In IFCR.
Sorry, sir?
What are the procedures we do in IFCR testing? IFCR.
So the procedures are mainly, firstly, we will do the walkthrough of the business process of the company in which we are going to audit. And in a walkthrough only, we will identify the risks. According to that, we will formulate the RCM, risk control matrix. And we can do that in designing level. We can check the controls in the designing level as per the implementation level. In designing level, we will check whether the control has been designed properly so that the risk can be mitigated. And in implementation level, we will check whether the designed controls are implemented properly so that the risks are mitigated properly.
जो आया मैं लिखते जाएगा ना ग्रुप में जो अभी नए जो का है आरसीत सेठ साई लक्ष्मी संभावी बोरा राइट इन द ग्रुप आई एम इन हाँ जो नए जो नए ठीक है question is give an example of a risk control matrix in terms of purchases. What are the risks will be their controls and what will be the thing in purchases?
So in purchases, the risk can be purchase requisition, the vendor selection, the PO authorization, the rates, majorly the risk revolves with the vendor selection, whether the vendor, the quotation has been received or not, whether the vendor is compliant of the certifications, whether it is following the ethical standards or not, what is our history with that vendor, whether he is able to deliver the things on time, and what is the quality and the rate, whether the rate is as per the
What is the
market
control?
standards or not.
What is the control?
So, control can be for quotation. We can ask the department to receive a sealed envelope, or if we are taking e-tender, we can do our electronic things in which the quotations are not open before the last date of submission of the quotations, and if it is being open, it is to be opened by a one authorized person and in front of 2-3 witnesses. So we can get it signed by the witnesses, and we can formulate a comparative.
What is the risk in the invoicing process?
Risk in the invoicing process include the rates, whether the rates which has been agreed has been billed or not. In export process, the rate, the exchange rate is also a risk. Whether the proper descriptions of the item has been mentioned in the invoice or not. Whether the terms and condition has been mentioned, and whether the quantity and the rates are properly specified, whether the GST number and the address of the purchaser has been specified correctly, totaling and everything.
Why internal audit?
Sorry?
Why internal audit?
So in internal audit, internal audit does not only deals with the financials, but it also deals with the operational part. In this, we get to interact with the management. We are required to identify new areas from where we can help the organization to improve its operations, and we can build a good relationship, and it also improves our communication skills. So it is a very wider thing to explore.
So the
Why Big Four? Why Big Four?
Why Big Four? So the work culture and the experience in the Big Four is very large. It will give me a depth knowledge, and also it will enhance my knowledge.
How do you manage the late working hours?
So late working hours will not be a problem for me, because I just qualified my CA, and for clearing CA, dedication of 12 to 14 hours is required, which I already did. So I don't think work hours will be a pressure for me.
Okay, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years down, I see myself as a grown-up professional, expertise in the field in which I am working. And I'll see myself as a valuable contributor to the organization in which I'm working.
Who are there in your family?
In my family, me, my father, mother, and 2 sisters.
Okay.
So I need to leave. My cab has come. I have a flight to
You can go. You are done well. I will give you the feedback later on. Okay. Happy journey. Happy journey.
Bye. Thank you.
Great. चलो दिव्या का ले लेते हैं, ठीक है? दिव्या.
Okay, sir.
How will you audit the fixed assets?
So for auditing the fixed assets, first of all, we'll take the fixed asset register, the fixed asset schedule, and the ledger. And we'll first of all match that all the amount that is being mentioned is same in all these three, that a fixed asset register, fixed asset schedule, and the ledger. There are various items that we can audit. We can recompute the calculation that has been calculated by the organization, and we can see whether there is any difference in the depreciation that was computed by us and the depreciation that the organization had calculated. So we can also verify the additions of fixed asset that the organization has made in the current year. We can verify it by going through the complete process by which the fixed assets have been added. We can ensure that the purchase requisition for the asset was being raised, the purchased order was being raised, and it was authorized. that the asset was actually received in the premises and that the asset was booked in the books of accounts, that the asset was entered in the fixed asset register, and the proper journal entry and the ledger was updated with that purchases of the fixed assets. So we can verify the deletion of fixed assets, like if a particular asset is required to be discarded, then we have to see what are the reasons, what are the reasons for which the asset was required to be discarded. So we'll verify the reasons, then we'll go through the entire process of discarding, how they have discarded, and after discarding, so they have to retire that from the fixed asset register, from the general ledger. So we have to verify it. Also, if the deletion of the asset is as per is for an amount, so we'll ensure that the particular amount is received in the bank account. We can also ensure if there was any profit on discarding, so that has been recorded properly in the books also. These are the things that we can check for fixed assets.
Tell us something about yourself.
So my name is, so thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Divya Pansari. So I'll start with my experience during my articleship. During my articleship, sir, I had stat audit experience of fixed assets, payroll, trade payables, trade receivables, revenue. I have also attended the physical count of fixed assets, inventory. I assisted my juniors in GST reconciliation, GST returns, income tax returns. So mostly my experience is in statutory audit only. 60-70% part of my experience is in statutory audit, but I have conducted some internal audit also. Like I conducted internal audit of a water management plant. I have also assisted in the internal audit of an education institute. Apart from that, I have also led a team of 4 juniors. There I guided them regarding the finalization of books of accounts. So that is all from my end.
How was your client experiences? Share some client experiences where you have some major observations during those in terms of say statutory audit.
Okay, sir. Okay. So while I was conducting the statutory audit of a construction industry, the industry name was Amarpur Construction Private Limited. So it is a company based in Bhagalpur. Its head office is in Amarpur. The turnover was around 5 crores, sir. It was majorly, it was a company where the major clients were government clients only. They had, at that time when I was auditing, they had 7 clients and they had 7 projects ongoing. The 2 projects were of Jila Parishad Banka, 2 projects were of building the platform, 2 projects were of building the roads, and they also had 2 real estate projects. But the major work of this organization was of construction only. So we usually used to call it a construction industry, and even the accounting in that organization was based mostly on the construction rules only. They used to follow AS 7 there, sir. For revenue recognition, they used to apply a percentage of completion method. What we used to do was, sir, there was a site engineer that used to duly certify the percentage of completion of the work that had happened on the site. And on that basis, we used to verify whether the revenue which is being recorded, it is as per the percentage that was certified by the site engineer only. Some of the major observations that I had in the construction industry was, sir, in the like in the beginning 6 months, there was no revenue recorded in the books of accounts. And in the next 6 months, there was huge revenue recorded in the books. So we inquired what is the reason that in the initial 6 months, no revenue was recorded. And after 6 months, huge revenue was recorded. It was because mostly the clients of this construction company was government, and they told us it is very difficult to realize funds from government entities. So that was the problem in the organization. Also, so we did not get the certificate of completion. So this is a problem in Bihar. What happens is, in big cities, we get this certificate of completion after the completion of the project. But what happens in Bihar is they don't really give us a certificate of completion. So for completion, we just assume that the project has completed after the expenditure has stopped in the organization. So after the expenditure has stopped, we book the entire revenue, we book the entire cost. And so the department also accepts that, okay, the project has become complete, so we will realize the funds as and when we can realize the funds. So another observation was we had also visited one of the sites of the project. There we verified how they follow the purchase process. What they used to do was, if they required certain material, they used to raise the purchase requisition. And after the purchase requisition was raised, it was sent to the head office Amarpur. After it was received by Amarpur, what they used to do was they used to contact the vendors, and after contacting the vendors, the entire process used to follow. So what we observed there was, with respect to vendors, we know that there are three vendors, at least three vendors we are required to contact before placing the purchase order. What they used to do was they were contacting three vendors, but they selected the vendors with chit system. After bidding and everything, they selected the vendors by chit system, and what they were doing was they had put those chit in a bowl, and in those chits only one vendor's name was there present. The same vendor's name was present in all the chits. So this was something which we had observed during our audit, that even if any chit they are picking, they are going to get that vendor only. So we had identified this fraud there, that it was because the same vendor was being selected, commission and all was involved. So we had a talk with the management. I told it to my senior, I told it to my principal also, and this was dealt then later on. So these were the major observations that I had.
What are the major risks in the P2P process?
Sir, statutory audit, sir.
It is a part only. What's the major risk in the P2P process?
Okay. Sir, in the P2P process, the major risk can be the risk of PO split up. What happens is there's a limit that has been prescribed, above which the higher authorities authorization is required. So what the lower authorities do is they split that particular purchase order so that they don't have to take the authorization from the authorities. For example, if a purchase authorization is 1 lakh limit, so they'll split the purchase order into 50,000 and 50,000, and then they will not require the authorization. So this is
What
a
is the
risk in
solution to it?
P2P process. So the solution to it is, what happens when we do PO split up is the purchase order remains the same, the party remains the same. So we can see whether that the purchase order is same, the party is same. So why two bills have been created? So we can verify it. Also, we can set a lower limit for a PO authorization in order to mitigate this risk of PO split up.
Any other risk?
So other risk can be in the vendor selection. So we know that at least three vendors are to be required to be selected, and we need to select the vendors with the lowest bid and the best quality. So there might be situations where only one vendor is selected each time. There is no vendor bidding happening in the organization. That can be a P2P risk. So also there can be risk like the purchase order has to be authorized by some person. So there is no authorization in purchase order. Also, when purchase requisition is raised, there has to be some person who is going to authorize whether that particular item is required in the organization or not. So we have to verify whether there is a person authorizing that purchase requisition also. So there has to be a person authorizing.
What is the
purchase
difference
requisition.
between an MRL and an LOE?
So management representation is a letter that we take from the management regarding some line items of the financial statements or the profit and loss account. This is what we take from the management. And so the another item was
LOE. Letter
so
of
letter of
engagement.
engagement is the letter of engagement is the letter that the auditor, as per SA 210, initially drafts for the organization. They mention the scope and the duties in that letter. So this is something which is required at the initial stage of the starting of the audit.
How will you audit a trade receivable?
So for auditing the trade receivables, first of all, we can do is we can take the confirmation from the trade receivables, and we have to ensure that the trade receivables confirmation is received by us directly. We can check 5 trade payables, 5 higher paying trade payables. We can check 5 lower paying trade payables. We can also do the aging analysis of trade payables, and we can make sure that if the trade payables are not paid for a long period of time, like not paid for more than 3 years, then we have to inquire from the management why they are not being paid for more than 3 years. What is the proof? We will ask for the supporting from them. Also, if there is provision which is required to be made, so we have to ensure that the provision is made for such trade payables.
What happens if we don't get a confirmation from debtors? What will you do?
So if we don't get a confirmation from debtors, we can check at the subsequent collection from the books that the amount has been received later on or not. also, if we don't get the subsequent collection, we are not getting subsequent collection, then we can ask the management that why the collection is also not received and the confirmation is also not received.
Come in the same link, everybody. Yeah, meeting will expire.